Hi there. This recipe is for a sandwich, a good sandwich. This one is a smoked Gouda and eggplant sandwich. And here's what you need. You need a pound of tomatoes, and I have these that I purchased. Anyway, on the vine, pound of tomatoes. We need some Italian parsley. Oh, that's not Italian parsley. That's cilantro, but I have Italian parsley in the fridge. I need a couple of, actually it calls for 3 green onions, scallions, but I've got one that's really big here, so I'm just gonna use 2. I got this recipe from Sprouts, actually. You know how they have the samples and people will come up with recipes? Well, that's where I got this from. So, it says to use 2 eggplants, and I just bought 1 because there's only 2 of us. I don't think we need 1 eggplant each, so I just got 1. Need some garlic, and of course some smoked Gouda. How can it be bad with smoked Gouda? I have some, I need some fresh basil, and here's my fresh basil. I need some olive oil, and I am going to use butter flavored olive oil because I think that'll be good. It doesn't call for that, but you know, you can use plain. And I'm gonna make it on pumpernickel bread. I love dark pumpernickel bread. You can also use sourdough or, you know, some kind of hearty bread. Let me check. Salt and pepper, of course. Garlic. Oh, I need some balsamic vinegar. I missed that one. And that's it. So let's get started. I have something that's going to help me out here. I have an iron griddle that I can put up on my, there it is, that I can put up on my stove. And I have a center heater there that works really well with this. So I'm gonna preheat that to a medium high. Get it straight. And while that's heating, we'll get everything ready to go. So I'm gonna start off by chopping up some tomatoes. Wow, I'm in the dark. We're gonna start off by finely chopping our tomatoes. So I'm gonna take out that part. Discard that. And finally, so I'll just, that's like a quarter of a teaspoon, sorry, a quarter of an inch thick slices. And if my knife is sharp enough, and I did just sharpen it, and it is, it'll cut right through there. So, whoa, smash. And I'm smelling the heat, so I'm gonna go turn that down just a smidgen. I don't want it to get too hot. There's that. I have my tomatoes chopped. And now I need a 1/4 cup of Italian parsley. I think I told you this on another video, but in case you don't know the difference between Italian parsley and regular parsley, Italian parsley is flat leafed. You know, parsley is usually very curly, but Italian parsley is flat, you can see. So this looks like more than a 1/4 cup, but not much more, because I just want the leaves. So I'm just gathering the leaves in my hand with the stems, you know, coming out on the other end. So I can just cut the leaves. Here's what we're gonna do. And we're supposed to finely chop this. So I'm gonna start off by chopping it like this, off the stem. Discard the stem. And now it's chopped. We wanna finely chop it. I'm just gonna hold it down on one end and just kind of turn on an arc and do it from different angles. And there you go. And it ends up, that's about 1/4 cup. So I'm gonna put that in the tomatoes. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the basil, except I have to pick the basil off the plant. I'll go do that. I'm gonna pick the leaves and I'll wash them and dry them. I have a bunch of clean, dried basil leaves, and I usually like to stack them one inside the other, but these are kind of small, so I just bunched them up like this. And I'm gonna cut them like this first. And I want them finely chopped, so, you know, I won't have those nice pretty strips. That's okay. And then like this. And there we have the basil. So I'm going to put the basil in with the tomato. And I need to finely chop my green onions. 2 or 3, depending on how many and what size and all that. Cut off the roots. And I'm going to slice it. But I'm going to have to finely chop it, so we'll do it. I think that looks good enough. So we'll put that in with the tomatoes also. I shouldn't use my fingers. Use a knife blade. Scallions like to stick to your hands, as do all wet greens, right? Okay, there's that. And now we need some olive oil. You know, I'm having second thoughts about that butter olive oil. I think I'm gonna get some plain olive oil. Okay, I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of plain olive oil. Put that, 1, 2, and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. Now, funny thing, I have, I don't know, maybe a dozen different kinds of balsamic vinegar in the cupboard, but none are plain. So I have this little sample bottle of champagne balsamic vinegar, and I thought, now that sounds good. I mean, what do you use that for anyway? So I need a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. It's just, it smells like balsamic vinegar. Anyway, 1 tablespoon. Okay. What next? Oh, garlic. need a teaspoon of minced garlic. So I have this one giant one, but it's got a brown spot I'm going to cut off. So it becomes much smaller. Cut off the stem. So I'm not sure this is going to be a teaspoon, so I'm just going to put this small one in too. Okay, get rid of this. Okay, so now I have, you know what? I've been thinking about trying something. I'm going to cut this big one in half and put it on its flat side because I'm going to use my new garlic press, and sometimes it slides from underneath. So here I'm going to press. Get another one. Remember, 1 teaspoonful. Although, if we get a little extra, I'm okay with it. We are garlic lovers. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. Okay. I want to smash that some more. Okay, there's a teaspoonful. Okay, garlic, pepper, and salt. So, put a little salt in there, and pepper. Oops, I'm running out of pepper. Oh well, that'll do. All right, I'm gonna stir that up and set it aside. Looks yummy and beautiful. Okay, there's that. Now, I got a little garlic on that. Put that in there. Next, the eggplant. Time for the eggplant. So we're gonna cut off the bottom end and the top. Get rid of that. And then we're gonna cut it in half long ways, like this. And then it says to cut it into 2 1-inch thick slices. That's really thick. Anyway, that's about right. That's very thick. Ugh. That's a little more than 1 over here. I think I'll trim it because, God, that's really thick. Yeah, okay. And then here, this one's a little bit smaller, but it'll be fine. Okay, so now we're not, oh, that's too thick right here. We're not gonna use this part. I'm gonna save that and use it for something else. We're gonna use these. 1 for each sandwich, making 2 sandwiches. So I guess if you're making 4 sandwiches, you wanna have 2 eggplants like it calls for. Anyway, here's this. And now we need to get the bread ready by brushing some olive oil on each slice. I'll get that. Okay, here's my pumpernickel. And I've decided I'm gonna use the butter olive oil to butter the bread. You'll see. Again, you could use plain. So I just pour a little in a dish. I'm just gonna brush both sides of each slice of bread. Just a little bit. I also decided to make 3 sandwiches because my bread's a little bit small and my eggplant is pretty big. So that'll work fine. Marty will have 2, I'll have 1. We'll be fine. Don't use too much oil. You don't want greasy sandwiches. Just a light brush. And we're going to brush both sides of these pieces of eggplant. Some people think that you have to soak eggplant in salt for a while first to draw out the juices, but you don't have to do that. I've never done that. I probably have done that, but most of the time I don't do that. Okay, now we're ready to start doing some grilling. Okay, so we're gonna put the eggplant on the grill. We're gonna grill this for 8 to 10 minutes until it's done and nicely brown and very tender. So I better get a fork so I can check that. 8 to 10 minutes, okay? Get my fork so I can check it. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and grill my bread. These will only take a minute or so. Maybe a couple of minutes. Let's see. Okay. I just flipped over the eggplant, as you can see. And it's cooking too fast. You can see it's getting quite dark in a few areas. I've only been cooking it for about a minute. So I turned my heat down to medium because we need it to cook all the way through. Just wanted to tell you that. Okay, we're almost there, but we have to get the cheese ready. So I'm supposed to have 4 ounces of this cheese, and this is actually more than half a pound. This is almost 3/4 of a pound. So 4 ounces is 1/4 of a pound. So we don't need a whole lot of this. But anyway. Gonna do this. I'm going to leave the skin because I'm okay with that. And I'm gonna get a, vegetable peeler so I can get some really thin pieces of cheese, thin slices. And this is such a creamy cheese. It's kind of hard to do it this way. You know what? I'm not going to do it this way. That's how they said. I'm not liking it. Get out of the way. I can get some thin slices here. Well, that's not pleasant. But it is going faster than the other. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to check the eggplant and the bread because I think they're probably done. Okay, I'm going to turn on my broiler. Oh, I should put my, put the rack up to the top because that's where the broiler is, on top. So I'm going to turn on the broiler. And you really don't need to, preheat it, but I'm letting it get going. This is only going to take me a minute. I'm going to get my eggplant, which is done, and it looks burnt, but it's not. You'll see what I mean. There you go. So, I'm going to put the cheese on them. This is such good cheese. I love it. So, if it goes over 4 ounces, it's not going to kill me. Oops, but I don't want any wasted on the pan. So, there we go. And then I'm going to stick it under the broiler just long enough for it to melt. Wow, I sliced way too much cheese. Guess I'll have to eat it with crackers. Oh, sad. Okay. All right, there we go. Under the broiler for not long. Just a jiffy. Until it's melty. I've discovered that Gouda is not very melty. I left it for a few minutes. It should have been just 1 minute, and it's hardly melty at all, but whatever. So here's what we're going to do. Take a piece of bread. Remember this tomato stuff? Well, we're going to put some of this on the bread. And then I'm going to cut the Gouda a little bit. You might remember that I said I was going to have an extra sandwich. So I'm going to just cut a piece off of each end, and that's plenty for another sandwich. And here, I'll just take this, put it on there, and top it. And there you go. Oh, you can't even see that very well, can you? Let's move this stuff around. And I think I'll just cut it in half to make it easier to eat. I think this is going to be delicious, but messy. But that's okay. Enjoy.